Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is William Michael Forbes. I'm a spiritual medium, a channel, and an intuitive life coach, and I want to welcome you to our Shortcuts for Your Soul. And it really is shortcuts for your soul. This is an opportunity in human consciousness collectively for us to literally liberate ourselves from suffering. And that's what today's subject is all about, the beginning of the end of suffering. And I find that a very fascinating idea to discuss because I don't think suffering is our natural state. I think joy is our natural state. I think love is our natural state. And we're going to wait a couple minutes for people to come on as I get set up here. And do this. Just clear this up here. Wonderful. Just wait for a few people to come on. There we go. And hi, Louise. How are you? Wonderful to see you. We're just going to wait a couple minutes for everybody else to come on. And today is going to be a very fascinating subject because it's entitled The Beginning of the End of Suffering. And when Master Jesus came in this morning to say this was what we'd be discussing, I was quite delighted and surprised because his whole focus was to come here and bring us an understanding of how to experience life more abundantly, more joyfully. And the exact opposite was made to happen as a result of his premature departure, I'll say. But again, we're going to wait for everybody else to come live, and I'm just setting up trying something new with my channel to see if I can observe what is actually going on live. There we go. And I should be able to identify what's going on. There we are. So yeah, the beginning of the end of suffering is a fascinating subject. When I asked Master Jesus why he wanted to talk about this subject, he said it was really important to understand that the work that he brought forth to mankind was based in love. It was not based in suffering at all, period, nada. That after his departure from this physical dimension, the teachings that he brought forth were packaged around the idea that suffering was something to be worshipped. Something he's very passionate about is love and kindness and respect. He said, I never once described that suffering was a necessity for anybody. He said that it was really important you understand that suffering was not the image that he brought forth to humanity, that the joy and the love of God, the Creator, was what he brought forth, not the suffering. And he said, I never ever said that suffering was your way to God. He said, good words, good thoughts, good actions, good deeds, kindness, compassion, those would bring you towards God, not the focus on suffering. So he was really, and has been very puzzled as to why people would want to worship suffering. And he said that's become the model under which much of what he taught has been taught. So a lot of people, he said, many people have gone to churches or different organizations to worship and pay their respects to the teaching, to God, the Father, to Master Jesus and others. As many of you have gone there. And one of the challenges you've faced, and why has it always felt uncomfortable going there? Why has there been something that's not felt quite right? And he said, the idea of worshiping him and suffering, he said, I never wanted anybody to worship suffering. I wanted people to worship and ennoble the beauty, the love, the joy of life and God, your Creator. So he said today was about the beginning of the end of suffering, to begin to turn our focus away from the concept that suffering is a valuable way of trying to ennoble ourselves, that compassion, kindness, respect, truth, integrity, love, honesty, sincerity, purposeful being, alignment with your physical health. There's a range of different things, he says, that will align you to and ennoble you with the Creator that beats your heart right now. And it's a very fascinating thing. The beginning of the end of suffering. He says the beginning starts when you decide to realize that suffering is not your natural state of being. Suffering is not your natural state of being. That is what the world has given you. And he repeats that over and over again. That is what the world has given you, the idea of suffering. And he says, not the natural world. It is the world of man, specific individuals that have formulated beliefs to control and regulate what you should believe or not believe. And the only thing you need to believe is that there is a creator that is beating your heart right now, that loves you and honors you and cherishes you and respects you. And this is the greatest core of belief that you can possibly have. So the beginning step is to, again, to remember the childishness, the playfulness, the joyfulness of being. I know there's a number of people here who have children. I want to say good morning, everybody, again. There's a number of you that have children, and you look at children as they start to move into the world, they start to roll and crawl and walk. There's this unrestricted state of curiosity and interaction and playfulness and curiosity that gets he's saying it gets stopped. He says it gets stopped by what you decide and what is taught to these children, that they begin to believe that they have to be less than what they are. The idea of memorizing what their life is supposed to be is not the same as living their life as it is. It is important you understand the distinction between living your life as a memory and living your life as it truly is in the present moment. Any belief or idea that restricts you from fully articulating the magnificence of your creative expression does not have a place in God's kingdom. The things that ennoble you, the things that liberate you, the things that free you to be more of what you are, those things will always cause the Creator to smile. Okay. And we're going to get right into this. Hi, Prem. Hi, Louise. Hi, Kira. Yeah, so Master Jesus has come in today, and his whole thing is about the beginning of the end of suffering. That the idea that worshiping suffering in any faith, he says, the idea that anybody would tell you that to worship one's suffering is a noble act is telling you incorrectly. To ennoble God's love, to ennoble the honor of being, the honor of fellow humans, to be truthful, to be honest, to be real with that which you are, to align yourself to the heartbeat of your Creator and what it wants you to do. And he says there's very simple ways that you can actually begin to get aligned to what does the source that is beating your heart right now, what does it want for you? What does this intelligence, again, there's many names that have been given to it by humans, but the reality is nobody really knows what it is as an anthropomorphic manifestation, but everybody can feel it inside. It's beating your heart right now. And each of us has a relationship with it that's unique to who we are as an individual extension of that source. And he says it's really important to build your relationship and your awareness of this Creator up. There should be no other, no other before or between you and your Creator source. So getting yourself to that place in consciousness where you are aligned to that source on with your own conscious awareness between you and it. No priest, no minister, no rabbi, nothing else between you and your Creator. It is within you. You have a relationship, a direct connection to it. One of the things he said, I constantly tried to tell people that God is within you. God is within you. It's not out there. He said, I repeatedly try to get people to understand not to worship me, but to find the God within. And there are simple ways you can begin to do that. You must learn to go within and still your mind and still your body and learn to feel the love of the Creator as a vibration coming to you. And I'm paraphrasing some of what he's saying because of the way the language is because the language that he was using then and what's used now are very different. So I'm paraphrasing based on what we think, feel, say, and do right now as a species to articulate more effectively what he's saying in language that makes sense to us. Wow. So the beginning of the end of suffering, stilling the mind, going within, connecting with that energy within you that's beating your heart. I mean, anybody can do that. It's one thing it's one thing to feel the beating of your heart. It's another thing to feel what that beating heart communicates to you as a message for your life. If you can feel your heart without judgment, you will begin to hear the voice of Spirit as it is always speaking with you. You just have to learn to hear it. So therefore, being still and quiet becomes the most important step for those of you seeking to really know your Creator as you were intended to know your Creator. He's saying none of us were ever meant to be separate. None of us were ever meant to be given the illusion that we're separate from infinite love or infinite light or this infinite intelligence, this all-knowing power that, knows how to build a body, knew how to write the program for DNA to create this physical form. He said every one of us is completely connected to it. And there have been things put in place in this world that have entrained many of you to believe that you are separate from it or that you need somebody else to get you to it. And he says, I never ever suggested that the only way was through me. I always said the kingdom of God was in you. When I said the way was through me, it was not through me personally, but through the knowledge and the ideas that I shared with many. Through the knowledge and ideas I shared with many, that when they were applied, that individual would find their unique creation and connection to the Creator within them, and not through me specifically. I was merely bringing forth the information that those of you that wanted it and seeked it and asked for it called forth. And you have called forth again, and you've called forth again, and there have been many over the centuries that have come forth. Very important. So the beginning of the end of suffering, this is the focus of the questions and answers today. Let's keep them around. How can we end our suffering? What's the first steps we can begin to take to end our suffering? He's telling me that learning to get your mind and your body are still and very quiet are essential for being able to actually hear infinite intelligence, your guides, your angels, communicating with you directly. Very important, learning that process of stilling your mind and your body. He says he's very excited at this time that we're in right now as a species, because we all now have a chance. He says many of us were pulling away from the false ideas that were given to us about your relationship with your source, the creative intelligence within you, of which you are a direct part. You are an extension of God's love. You are not separate from God's love. You are an extension of it. And it is important to understand this in order to liberate yourself from the idea of disillusionment. Thank you, Kate. I appreciate that. Thank you for that donation. I'm going to start a lot of questions. Busy day today. Exciting. Good morning, Autumn, Betsy, Manoj. Hi, Reflection. Hi, Giovanna. Any messages from you from my grandma, Sadie? That's a great consideration. His I don't know. She's saying something. I'm getting from her something about a chair, like a rocking chair, something about moving in rhythm. But it's the feeling of like rocking back and forth, but it's not like you're going back and forth in light. It's a feeling like of deep inner contentment and peace. Find that which gives you great peace is what I get from her. Very grounded lady, and just smiling and rocking back and forth and just saying, be at peace, be in that way that gives you peace. I like that. Thank you, Nicole, for that question. Giovanna, can you explain divine independence, authenticity? Probably not the best word, but we'll understand what I mean. Giovanna, let me read that question again. Is asking, can Master Jesus explain independence, authenticity? Probably not the best word. Divine independence and authenticity. He's laughing. He's saying everything that is divinely independent. The question you're asking is, what is your expression of your divine independence? What is the way in which the creator of your consciousness would wish you to express? But you are that creator consciousness, and you may express it in any way you so choose. Is your expression divine? You must ask yourself that question. What is divine to you? And from that answer will you find the nature and source of your expression, both in how you would be in the world and what in the world you would need to be with in order to align to that expression, to facilitate it. But all are divinely aligned. The question becomes, are you conscious of that alignment, or are you unconscious of that alignment? It is unfortunate that the majority of humans on this planet today are unconscious of their alignment to the divine. They have been taught and trained to believe that they are separate from it, that they have to go through some sort of ordeal to get close to it, that this is not true. It is with you right now. You do not have to die to go to heaven. It is with you right here and right now. You do not have to suffer to be ennobled in the eyes of your Creator. You are already ennobled in the eyes of the Creator, as you are the eyes of the Creator. You are the hands of the Creator. But you must learn to know this and then be that which you are. Thank you. Wonderful question, Giovanna. Sorry, Master Jesus' energy is just so hot. So hot. Jade is asking, feeling suffering today. Boss continues to be abusive out of the blue. Try to heal the energy in me that continued to project this. Please send love and high vibes. This is exactly what he wants to hear, because your suffering is not. Yes, he's saying your suffering is not necessarily your suffering, but that you may be empathizing too deeply with their suffering to approach even the greatest difficulty from your perspective of love. When you recognize that the anger of the other, the negative behavior of the other is their suffering outpictured to you, you have a chance to extend love. And this is, in truth, all you can do. Either you can be an extension of God's love, or you can be in reluctance and therefore acting from fear. Both are extensions of the one creative source, but you may choose to align yourself to either. He says, I would recommend that you strongly move into a state of love and grace before you go into your place of work. And then no matter what happens throughout the day, choose to stay in that vibration of love and grace, regardless of what others say and do. Your willingness to stay fast in that vibration will instill its fabric into your life wherever you go. And no one can say or do anything and shake you off of that estate. He's using the words estate. Like love is a state, an estate, like a state of being, an estate. And it is. And a lot of crazy stuff can go on around you. And if you're able to stay in a vibration of love and joy and recognize that what's going on around there is the pain, the suffering, the hurt of them, then have compassion for them. Even before you get there, take 5 minutes after this event today and go inside 5 minutes a day, send love to your boss and wish them well. And then wish yourself the same. Wish yourself the same. And then go forth from that vibration. You don't have to speak it to anybody, just be it. Being it will change it. Yes. From a scientific standpoint, you might understand that when like these sound waves come out of my mouth, travel at 756 miles an hour into the microphone, go through the electronic equipment and come out to your ears, and your ears are now hearing the sound of this voice. Well, so the same thing is true when you think a thought. You send out a thought wave in concentric spheres. And the stronger the emotion behind a thought, please, everybody hear this, the stronger the emotion is behind a thought, the more effect it will have upon time, space, and matter in a shorter time frame. So the more intense your joy is, the more intense your love is, the more intense your excitement is, the more intense your playfulness is. Even if it's internal, it's just felt inside, that radiates out further. It's like turning up the volume on the electromagnetic wave that's generated by the thought with the emotion feeding it. The emotion amplifies thought. Emotion amplifies thought. So when you're sending love out to somebody, or you're walking down the street, you want to see more love in the world, and you're feeling that love inside, feel it with as much passion and intensity as you can, and it'll radiate out, and it'll have a greater effect on time, space, and matter. Yes, Master Jesus is just saying this is how he healed. He understood this principle, that the more he felt the truth, the energy, the sensation of what he wanted to see, whether it be the person being healed, whether it be the person being taken out of pain and suffering, whether it be the person being prospered. He said it was the emotional energy, the emotion, he calls it the spirit of his Father, that energy was so intense that it would literally overwrite or override the conditions in the environment. I personally experienced this about 1.5 years ago when my guides and angels said, we're going to test you. You're going to be trained to learn how to stay in a state of love and grace. And when they said that to me, I said, okay, I'm curious to see how it's going to happen. And I went downstairs. We have a Starbucks in front of the building we're in. And I went out and I had a cup of tea, and I'm sitting there and I'm enjoying my chai tea, just blissing out in this feeling of love. And they said, stay in the feeling of love as long as you can. So I'm sitting on this patio in the state of love, and all of a sudden I hear this man screaming, I hate Americans, I hate Americans. And he picks up a chair off the patio in front of me, and he raises it up over his head to slam it down at me. Like he's like this, I guess he thought I was American. Anyway, what he ended up saying was nothing. He just stopped, held the chair in the air. And I'm just looking up. I'm still in this vibration of love. I haven't even got time to assess that this man is going to smash a chair down. I haven't even assessed that. I haven't even come to that conclusion. I'm just in this state of love, and I look up and our eyes meet for a second. And in that second, he hesitates, right? And he throws the chair away and runs off. And they said, see, you stayed in a vibration, and it changed that situation right in front of you. And it was the intensity of the emotional energy I was in that induced the change. That's what they told me. So the intensity of emotion, the more intensity behind a feeling, the more prevalent the effects in time, space, and matter over a shorter time frame. And this is true for both negative emotions and positive emotions, right? Remember that. It's true for either of them. And you are not your emotions. Your emotions are energy that you have access to, that you can change an emotional state from negative to positive or positive to negative. We do it all the time. Most people just aren't aware of that fact. Yes. He says, Master Jesus is saying, when you keep your mind and your house aligned to love, you will have no fear in this world. When you can keep your mind and your heart aligned to love, you will have no fear in this world. Fascinating. Thank you for that that consideration, Jade. Really appreciate it. Wonderful. Hi, Giovanna. I'm just scrolling down. Thank you for that $2 donation, Kate. I really appreciate it. Sometimes my light seems to dim and I feel tired, irritable. What should I do when this happens? Yes, there's a lot of fatigue for a lot of people on the planet because there's a huge shift in vibrational energy, literally collectively on the planet. Human collective unconsciousness is being elevated. It's one of the reasons we're seeing all this stuff being brought out. All the stories you hear about these child porn rings and their sex trafficking things being taken down, and politicians being arrested for doing illegal things, and the fear around viruses. These are all collective unconscious things that have now been brought out of our unconsciousness because the collective vibration of love is now being amplified and expanded by what I'll term them the illumined ones on the planet that are aligned to what some of us call the Christ consciousness or the Spirit of God. And we're aligned to that vibration of love. And that vibration of love is inducing a change in the human collective unconsciousness. And all that which was hidden is revealed. And now we have the chance to reestablish love as the dominant force in how humanity conducts itself individually and as a united species. Because we are, whether you like to admit it or not, it doesn't matter what color your skin is or what sex you are, we are a united consciousness. We're just billions of cells in this collective called the human species or the human body, right? But we're all just cells in that body, just like I got billions of cells in this body, but they're all part of this functioning whole. And humanity as individuals are like cells. We're also meant to be a functioning whole, right? A healthy functioning whole, not a dysfunctional, unhealthy whole, right? And we're still learning how to take care of ourselves, and we're working on that. Manoj, I need some guidance on how to coexist peacefully with my wife despite her behavior. He just says love. He says you have heard what you have heard is what you need to understand, dear one. Understand that if you are engaged in the vibration of love, then the words and actions that you will conduct to others will be foundational upon that. And then those that are closest to you, if you remain in that state, will have no choice but to change or transform. The vibration that you can generate as an energy will create that change. And please understand this. Yes. So literally, like spend 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes in the evening, just being in a state of love, and then walk around and act and speak from that vibration. Love would not get frustrated. Love is extremely patient. It's infinitely patient. Love does not get irritated. It doesn't get angry. It doesn't get vindictive. Love has very specific behaviors that are issued forth from it, just as fear has very specific behaviors that represent it. If you are living in that relationship in fear, then you will feed the fear. And it sounds like your wife is expressing a lot of whatever for her is going on that represents her version of what you're interpreting to be fear. So be a beacon of light and love, regardless of her behavior, but also be open to listening to her. She might need you to hear her too. I'm speaking just as me. It's important you understand that you be willing to speak with her and listen to her. We should always listen to the people that we love and stop and be patient and really hear what they're saying. Maybe there's something she needs that you're not aware of. Maybe there's something she needs from you that you're not giving her. I don't know personally, but Master Jesus is saying love is the key. Love always listens. It's always patient. It's always kind. It's always compassionate. It's what he said when you read in that book that by your fruits you shall know them. I was speaking of a great truth that the actions, the outcomes, the results of actions determine the quality of the consciousness or the mind behind it. If your heart is that of love, then the fruit will be love. If the heart is based in fear, the fruit will be fear, and that is suffering. All fear is suffering. Cool. I feel guilty in stepping back and engaging with some family members who are narcissistic. My spouse still maintains a relationship while I do not. Any guidance? Well, remember, guilt is one of two things. Again, I'm going to talk from a William perspective. He said, yeah, okay. Again, your guilt is your own judgment, and it is the judgment that you either levy upon yourself or upon others. And whom shall you judge? If you have judged yourself, you shall judge everyone as you judge yourself. For as you judge yourself, you will judge everyone. And as others judge themselves, they will judge you. So if you're going to make changes, make those changes be in righteousness, in love. Okay, I'm just trying to access my personal information now. So yeah, again, if you're dealing with people that are in if you're in an abusive situation where somebody's self-harming or they're harming you in any way, shape, or form, please reach out, get some support. Seriously, reach out, get some support. You do not have to maintain your position of suffering for yourself. You were not put here to suffer. We were taught to suffer. Humans have been taught that suffering is normal and natural. You look on the TV, you look what they're programming people with. People aren't being programmed with love and light and sunshine and lollipops. They're being programmed with zombies and killing and not trusting your neighbor. And you can trust them one day, but you can't trust them the next. That's the dominant message that's been going out for the last 110 years. Human consciousness. Most people are unaware that they've been literally taught to suffer. And most organized religions have used that mechanism. Religion and spirituality are very different. Yes, he's saying, understand that what this one is saying has great value. There is a difference between what you call religion and the relationship you have with your creator. Whether you give the name for that creator as Muhammad or Jesus or God or Buddha, whatever label you would choose to assign to your creator, it is your creator. And that creator should be one of love. If your creator is one of fear and punishment, then it does not represent what life truly is, which life is the ultimate giver of God's grace, extending itself through time, space, and matter to all of you. There is not one among you that is excluded from the love, the grace of the Creator, regardless of what your religious faith may be. The Creator within you is the Creator that is within you, and there is none other between you and it. Remember, its love is always extended to you. It would never extend fear to you. It would never extend punishment to you. These are ideas that were incorrectly given to you. Okay. He says, I won't say anything more on this. Very fascinating. So again, you want to align yourself, your energy, to a state of love and grace. You really want to do that. It's the beginning of the end of the suffering is when you decide, no, I'm not going to focus on my pain. I'm not going to focus on negative self-judgment. Most of your negative self-judgment didn't even come from you. Most of your negative self-judgment came from the television, the radio, and it came from teachers that judge you. And get back to aligning yourself to the reality that you're an extension of an infinite loving intelligence that's beating your heart, that believes that every one of us deserves life. It's giving it to you right now. It's beating your heart. You can't ignore that reality. No matter what I say or Master Jesus or any of us say, you cannot ignore that there's something giving you life right now. And why would you give life to something if you didn't care about it? You give life to something because you do care about it, right? Isn't that true? And so it loves you. It loves all of us. But we've been misled by others to believe that this intelligence wants to punish you for being born even. This is insanity. Something doesn't give you life because it wants you to suffer. It gives you life because you deserve it. You know, it's amazing. Gotta love that, eh? Thank you again, Kate. I really appreciate that. Could you say I'm out in the woods and I have been trying to communicate with a beautiful tree? Does the tree have a message for me? Thank you. You know, the thing, it's funny you asked that question. Trees are great teachers of stillness, and yet they also interact with everything that goes by it. There's nothing that goes by a tree that is not experienced. And this particular tree, Kate, is communicating a vibration of just gratitude, that you would seek to understand and have a relationship with the spirit in it as equally as you recognize the spirit in yourself. And that's a beautiful thing, to realize the spirit in that tree is the same spirit giving you life right now. And it's the same spirit giving the cat life, or the dog life, or the cow life, or the chicken life. You know, the creator gives life because life is a beautiful thing, right? It didn't give you life to suffer. It gave you life because it cares about you. That's like giving birth to your children and say, I'm going to give birth to my children because I want to make them, when they come out, I'm going to make them suffer. You know, that's insanity, right? No parent would ever think like that, right? But we've been taught by society, by cultural and social conditioning, to believe that suffering is normal and healthy. And it's not. That's insanity. God did not put us here to suffer. Thank you, Master. I appreciate that. Wow. Thank you, Lori. Is there a message from my fiance, Andrew, from his brother, Bernie? Wow. I don't know why, but the first thing I'm getting from Bernie is something about a musical instrument. That there's something, an instrument, something you're supposed to be playing that you stop playing. And he wants you to really start playing that again. I don't know what that means, but I'm interpreting the vibration from him to be something you're supposed to be playing, like an instrument. I could be, again, I try not to interpret what it means, just to communicate what's relayed. But there's something you need to pick up and start playing it again. I don't know if it's an instrument, but that's what I feel. But it could be something completely different, but something you're supposed to pick up and involve yourself in again. I don't know what that be, but he says you know. Yeah, he says you definitely know what that is. So I hope that helps, Lori. Thank you for that donation. I really appreciate it. A robin has tried to consistently fly into every window of my house. Could this be a spirit trying to get my attention? Absolutely, Bo. It's funny how we answer our own questions. Whenever you find yourself asking a question about life, remove the question mark and make it a statement. You'd be surprised at how many of your own questions you've already answered by asking them. So consider that. Take the question mark off of your questions, and you'll find you already know the answers. Very fascinating stuff. Wonderful. Here we are. Betsy, can I help my husband to end his physical suffering in his body with Reiki or something like that? Thank you and love to all. The answer is absolutely yes. Betsy, the answer is absolutely yes. You can facilitate your husband's healing through the process of extending a vibration of wholeness. Master Jesus is saying you need to extend a vibration of wholeness. The sensation, the awareness, I'm going to paraphrase now, the sensation and the awareness. The sensation and awareness of how you would envision him and how you would be feeling if his suffering were already ended. you've got to start with you got to go in with the end result already established as a feeling, as a vibration. You want to go in with the end result already established as a feeling and a vibration. And then you want to apply the Reiki. He said, Master Jesus, and it's exactly what he did. I mean, he just understood a concept of wholeness and the feeling of wholeness. He said, when you align yourself to your creator, you'll understand that feeling of wholeness, of perfection. That is what I always communicated to others. The love of he calls it the Father, the love of my Father was always translated through his healing work. So it's always starting with the perfection of the result, not trying to get to the result. Very important piece of information, he says, to have the result as the starting point. Oh, thank you, Melina. I really appreciate that. I think that's $15 donation. Thank you. My father has benign brain tumor. Is there any message for him and me? I send him love. I know everything happens for our highest good, and I welcome any messages from higher realms. It's funny. I'm actually, this might sound strange, and I've never experienced this before, but it's this benign tumor. Is actually communicating. I'm just trying to figure out because it's a different type of energy, but it wants your dad to be still. I don't know why it's saying it. It's trying to get your dad to be still, to become still. I don't know why it's saying that or what that will mean to your father or to you. It's also saying he needs to go to the middle. He needs to go to the middle. And I'm interpreting this middle that it's talking about to move his awareness to the middle of his brain where the pineal gland is, to become still in the middle of his brain. And it's saying this does not necessitate that I will change, but it will necessitate that your father will receive the desired change that he's been seeking. And this isn't about changing the tumor. This is about a change in your father's life that he's been desiring. So I'm going to just reiterate that in point form. Go have him move his awareness to the middle of his brain, to the pineal gland area, and learn to just be still and quiet there. And yeah, just that's what it said. Thank you. I've never had that experience before. Thank you, Melina. I really appreciate that. Angie, what is the purpose of humiliation? What is our spirit trying to teach us? Wow. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. That's a very humiliation. Wow. It's funny. I personally, let me ask Master, what is the purpose? Master Jesus is saying humiliation is not a natural state for one to experience unless they sit in judgment of them, in false judgment of themselves or others. Humiliation is a result of one who sits in false judgment of themselves or others. But how would that apply to like somebody doing something wrong to somebody else? That's guilt. He says that's guilt. Humiliation is different than guilt, he says. But humiliation is when you have judged others, you've been wrongly judged by others. Wow. Thank you. Great question. Good morning, Lysandra. Oh, thank you, Bazalal, for that $5 donation. I appreciate that. What did Jesus mean that we would do greater things than he in John 12? Well, there's three things that he's feeling great joy at your question. And the reason he's feeling great joy at your question, he says, this is already being done. But now there are greater things still yet for you to do. You must understand that the technologies that you've created are attempts to align yourselves to the creative power, the unlimited power of your source. But you do not necessarily need these machines and contrivances to do this. You can do this yourself. All healing takes place with the spirit. All growth and change takes place with the spirit. So it would be prudent for you to align yourself to it, to find out what that greater thing for you is, for the expression of yourself as an individual, varies from one to another. And your source has made each of you to express something very unique and distinct. And it is your relationship with that source that will enable you to reveal what that is. And that which it is will always be aligned to a vibration of joy, an expression of playfulness and love, compassion and kindness. You will know when you are aligned to your purpose, for these are the emotions you will feel. Thank you. Great question. Really appreciate it. Wow. I keep getting a burst of excitement. What or who is that? Lysandra, when you get that burst of excitement, allow yourself to just feel it. I don't know who this is, but they're saying allow yourself to feel the excitement so that it can naturally and easily integrate into your awareness, because it's an aspect of yourself that you're trying to allow back into your life. It's something you're trying to bring back into your life. And that's happening a lot with this ascension process globally. People are knowing there's something more to their lives than what they're experiencing. And the process of being able to get to that place of being aware of what's coming from within you, not what's coming from your mind. Remember, there's been a layer of I'll say a veil that's been put over humanity's eyes, and by the eye I mean your awareness, for the last 1,600 years. The social, economic, and political systems, religious systems, have placed a veil between yourself and your awareness of your source, so that whenever people try to go and meditate or to try to connect to God inside, all they feel is the fear and the terror that they've been taught to believe, that God is a wrathful God, that you're born evil, and all that stuff is stored in the mind of our children when we teach them this. And as a result, people are afraid to go inside where their creator is. And Jesus said, go within, right? But if you got these beliefs and ideas in here that are scary and frightening, you got to get past that. You got to drop all that stuff and go past that fear, go past the guilt, go past the judgment, go past the beliefs that others have given you that make you fear going and meeting your God, right? No matter what you call your God, you should never fear meeting it, for it loves you. It's giving you life right now. It cares about you. But you've got ideas from probably watching TV and listening to the wrong people, and that put ideas in your mind. So when you close your eyes, you got that stuff running around your head. You just watched Attack of the Zombies on TV for an hour and a half, and now you're going to go to bed. You got that in your mind. Who's going to want to go inside and experience that? That's insanity. Get it out of your head. Let it go. Clear your mind. Connect your source and find the freedom that is naturally yours anyway. But you won't find it in the gobbledygook that's been given to us. You'll find it in the spirit of your own being. Oh, thank you for that donation, Jade. $10. I appreciate that. You're very welcome. Hi, Rosemary. Thank you for your messages. I've been meditating and I see lots of lights and sometimes I feel heat. Can you give me some advice? Again, you're tapping into and accessing different frequencies of energy. And this is something that's, unfortunately, we don't have the technology available yet, but there is technology coming that will enable, just like a cell phone, will enable you to tap into different bandwidths, different dimensional frequencies. We can actually talk to different beings on different frequencies. That technology is coming. And the technology that measures magnetic fields around our body, that's here now. They can measure electrical energy around the body. So we have certain things that we know. But for you need to become sensitive, receptive, release your interpretation of what you think that is. And again, when you meditate, yes, I will. I'm going to put this out very carefully right now. When you're going to meditate, please make certain you're in a good state. Make sure you're grounded before you go out and meditate. Walk out on the earth for a few minutes. Drink some fresh water before you start meditating. Then sit. Get your mind and your body quiet and still. And then when your mind is quiet and still, and for some of you, that's going to take a long time because you had your mind going, blah, 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 blah. It'll take a bit of time to train your mind to be still and quiet on command. You can do that. You can actually train your mind to be still and quiet on command. And it might take you a bit of time to do that. It took me a few years to get a crazy mind. My mind was really crazy. I mean, to the point where I could not sleep at night. I was terrified to close my eyes. And I had to retrain my mind out of that behavior pattern. and they tried to give me all kinds of medications to deal with my emotional imbalance, and I went that route too. I took the drugs that didn't do anything for me, and I finally got a place that I had to sit for hours to retrain my mind and body to be still and quiet. Now I know I can just be still. And you want to train your mind and body when your mind is still. And that's what Master Jesus says, be still. And it is in the moment of your stillness that you can begin to hear what you can hear. With those lights and those things that you're observing, they are different aspects of consciousness trying to connect with you. There's a limitless kaleidoscope of creativity and consciousness and beings and dimensions. There's a limitless range of these things to experience. But you have to be able to release yourself from an interpretation of reality that restricts you from perceiving the others. We live in these physical bodies and we believe that this is reality, right? We believe this is the only real. Well, then we're stuck here. But the minute you start to drop out of it and you realize, wait, I'm the awareness that can actually make this body rest and be still. I'm the awareness that's the energy field around the body. I'm the awareness that can sense the space around this planet. I'm the awareness that can do anything, go anywhere. And at that point, you can then start to hear and connect to the angelic realms and the other beings when you're able to actually hear and not hear through your past. Because a lot of people try to interpret what they hear through what they remember, so they end up getting a representation of what they remember based on what they're hearing now, so they never get to hear now what's actually being heard. I hope that makes sense to some of you. But most people filter everything through their past memory. Very few people are in the present. And Master Jesus repeatedly says this. It's important to learn to be present, here and now, here and now. And it takes practice. And it's one of the reasons why he had us and the others had us design these courses, so that people could learn to be still, to learn to quiet their mind, to become the master of the home again, to no longer be a servant. And people are suffering needlessly on this planet because of not understanding very simple things. Virtualing. Yes, Kate. Hey, I started talking to my childhood tree too just this morning. That's wonderful, Kate. You're welcome, Anaj. Oh, wonderful, Lori. That's wonderful. Yeah, thank you for the feedback. It really, from a William standpoint, it's nice to have the feedback. It increases my gratitude for the connection that I have with these beings. When you realize that there are beings that you can trust, literally trust with your life. I mean, I trust the Creator with my life, but there are these other beings on other realms of consciousness that you can learn from, that can share your information. Bernie's just one of them. He's on a non-physical dimension, but his awareness still exists. Just because you leave the body doesn't mean you cease to exist. Just your mechanism for expression is gone. But the signal is always there. You just have to learn how to tap into it. So thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate that. Betsy. Oh, you're welcome. Wonderful. Oh, and thank you, Betsy. I really appreciate that $10 donation. Let's see here. This is the type of message I was looking for. Yeah, it's amazing. I like when they say they want me to continue to allow them to put these messages through, and that these things that would come forth with you, that they will be simple things that anybody and everybody can do to reconnect your soul to your Creator. Right now, most people have got their soul connected to the mind only, to what you've been taught to remember, what you're supposed to think is real. And you're stuck there. Many people are stuck in this mind thing, believing it's the only reality. And if you've been watching zombie films and murder and death and mayhem and drama, then that's your reality that you're stuck with, and you carry that into the world. And that's not who you are. Here we're going to give simple processes for you to liberate yourselves from that process of being lost in matter. Yes, it's been called the red clay. By some of the apostles called it the red clay, being stuck in red clay, which is stuck in the belief that you are just the matter, the physical matter. Wow, a light just shot by me. Cool. I think we're close to done here, folks. I think I've got everybody's question. I'm going to scroll up really quickly, but I want to say again, thank you. I want to welcome my new patrons that joined us, and thank you again for your support. It really does mean a lot. And I look forward to the monthly live events that we're going to be doing. It's like the stuff that's unfolding globally right now is just so exciting to watch, to participate in, to be aware, be able to deliberately know that you're contributing to it. You know, that your fear or your love create different effects in time and space. So I want to thank my patrons for stepping forward again. I want to thank, again, all the people that support me through donations here. It allows me to have the time to really meditate and connect with my team and bring this information forward unrestricted. And again, it just means so much to us. And thank you, Janine. I really appreciate that. Did I miss a question from you? I'm just going to scroll down. Thank you so much. Flying in the air. That's great. It's funny when some of you send the super stickers. I'm still getting used to the super stickers thing. This is all fairly new to me. But it's funny how this is unfolded. And so I get the description. It says pair character flying in the air with a red cape and a smile on his face. And reading it makes me smile. But I try to visualize that in my brain. It's cute. Oh, now I can see it. I've done this. I've brought. Because I missed somebody's question. They made a donation. I missed a question. So now I brought my other device. So now I can actually see it. I can actually see the pair flying. So thank you so much. That's so cute. So in the coming weeks, and they're saying at least 3 more weeks, in the coming weeks, the goal here is to each day give as many of you the information that you need to liberate yourself from the yoke of your some of them are saying humanity, others are saying your past. The yoke of our humanity, which is the constructed reality that we've been taught to think is true. So each day there's going to be something new. And I hope you appreciate this. The beginning of the end of suffering is learning to literally learn to make your body, your mind quiet, to liberate yourself from it and to be free again. The Creator loves you. Whether you call this Creator Allah or God or Buddha or Krishna, your Creator is not in a building. Your Creator is in the temple that you're in, called your physical body. It loves you. It honors you. It cherishes you. It gives you its life freely. It would only do so because it does love you. Learn to align yourself to its love and learn to give that love to others. You know, there's huge changes, but energetically, love alters energy just as fear alters energy and matter. So it's really important to find your connection to your Creator within you. Break away from the human interpretation of what your relationship with your Creator is supposed to be. Discover it within yourself again. Remember that it's beating your heart. Find it, feel it. Feel its love. Feel its love. Find that in yourself. Get out of your head. Get out of what you've been taught to believe about your Creator. Get away from all that stuff and find it within you right here, right now. It loves you. I want to wish you all a joyful day. I want to thank you all so much for stepping forward and supporting this work. And we will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Again, much love, everybody, and thank you for your support. If you want to join the courses and classes, you can go to my website, williammichaelforbes.com, and you can also book a reading with me there. But you can also join the classes, which start next September 5th. And it'll be the last 3 classes we do for 2020. Isn't that cool? Much love.